Do I do it now? Oh, do I do it?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what to do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to talk about how great the first episode of Book of Boba Fett was, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
I heard it was good. I probably should start watching it. I don't have work this weekend. Well, we'll be on Saturday for our show, but I'm not going to be at the pizza place this weekend, so maybe I'll catch up on some shows. Maybe Jake will watch a movie that we heard of, and we can talk about it.
one of the few movies. Yeah, you should get a Book of Boba Fett. It was a very good first episode. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars, even though if somebody would like to pay me to talk about Star Wars, I would certainly do that. We're here to talk about hockey. I see about 40 people in chat so far. Thank you guys for showing up. If you guys could throw us a like and subscribe, really helps us look good for the higher ups, and click that bell so you can get notified whenever we do go on the air. Special thank you to Yahoo Fantasy. They have been our sponsors so far this season. They've been very good to us. We're going to have a little giveaway through Yahoo Fantasy, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later in the show. Before we get too much further, we do have to talk about last night's slate a little bit. Josh, I'm definitely going to ask you about how last night's slate went. For me, not exactly the best. I fell out of the cash with the late games. That Rangers game, Igor Shesterkin really fell apart on me. But we did have some winners in the chat last night. Damon 76 went with New Jersey 2, St. Louis 2, and John Gibson in net. Took down the Quarter Arcade over on DraftKings. So congrats to you, Damon 76. If I'm not mistaken, that's back-to-back nights that an Awesemo sub has taken down the Quarter Arcade over on DraftKings, with Henry doing it a couple nights ago. So back-to-back nights for the Quarter Arcade for the Awesemo team. What do you think about that?
That's insanely impressive. Like, yeah, we talk about how Jake wins back-to-back nights in these like 150 maxes, but like the Quarter Arcade fields are way bigger than like the $4 or the $15. So like winning those back-to-back is insane. Like, it doesn't matter what the top prize is. Like, the amount of people in there is just giant, and it's really an impressive feat.
Yeah, it is really, really tough to pull off. So congrats to Damon on that Quarter Arcade win last night. Congrats to Henry a couple nights ago. Congrats to the other winners. We had some winners in chat, finished second and third and fourth and things like that. So a good night overall. I didn't do well. Did you cash last night? I meant to ask you that.
Yeah, I snuck in there because in our Discord chat, we got the Buchnevich alert that he was out pretty early. And I was just like, I don't even know who's going to be there, but I'm putting Kyrou there and just falling asleep. So like, I just put Kyrou in there. I was really tired, laid down, woke up at like 2 a.m, saw that Demko won, saw that I snuck in because Matt Duchene did nothing for me, and we roll on to tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Kyrou was a big swap for people last night. That was a frustrating one because, Buchnevich down to Kyrou was like a $1,400 difference or something like that. And I get it's hard to leave salary on the table. It's just a mental thing. I understand that. And I struggle with that as well. I'll freely admit that. But sometimes just making that straight swap is the best case. And in a case like that, Jordan Kyrou is a very good player on his own. It's not like it was a big downgrade either. So congrats to anybody that did swap over to Jordan Kyrou. I saw M. Skellett finished well last night. I think he finished third in the 20 max. So
yeah, we woke up to a lot of screenshots in the Discord this morning.
Yeah. So
not that in our respective areas. All right.
Yeah. So congrats, M. Skellett. Congrats, Damon. Congrats, Henry, from a couple nights ago. The one thing I found I promise I'll speak better English. The one thing I found interesting about last night was, I know it was just the Buffalo Sabres, but I thought, it's easy to look good when you have 3 points, but I thought Jack Hughes looked the best he's had probably in any game since returning there at the end of November. I don't know how much of that game that you caught because, like you said, you were pretty tired and fell asleep a little early. But man, Hughes did look good last night.
Well, the Devils games are always on here because I live in New Jersey. So, I mean, I think the break did him well just because, you're rehabbing and you're rushing back to the ice and maybe you're a little tired from all that. You forced your way back. You're not 100% healthy. So I think that rested him well. We'll see. It's one game and it's the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll see going forward, but he does have the pedigree. So maybe he's back.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is like, if he can really hit his ceiling, like not even his ceiling this year, like just be better, he could be close to a point per game player over the rest of the season, especially because that team does generate a lot of zone entries and clean entries and things like that. So I think Jack Hughes could be in for a big second half. All right. We do have 7 games to get to today. So let's get to these games. Before we get too much further, just another quick reminder to click that like and subscribe. It really does help us out a lot. Click that bell so you get alerts when we go live. We do have free premium tools and data up on the site. We normally do almost every day. Today is no exception. We do have NBA player rankings and NHL ownership projections up on the site. So go ahead and check it out at awesemo.com if you're not a member and playing NBA or NHL tonight. Both of those up for free. And we also have an odd shopper giveaway. Get a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. 5 winners will be awarded for a free month. Just click the link pinned in the YouTube live chat to enter. Not a bad deal whenever you can get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That is worth a few $100s on its own. And it'll really help you if you want to expand into other sports besides just NHL that we play here. All right, let's get to this first game. Tampa Bay Lightning, 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Florida. The Florida Panthers have a 3.3 implied goal total. Florida played last night. Sergei Bobrovsky started, so it's likely Spencer Knight in net for the Panthers. Tampa still has their goalie injury issues. So, Maxime Legacy or whatever that other guy's name is are going to be, one of them is going to be starting here tonight. So it's going to be an AHL goalie for Tampa Bay regardless. So even though it's a back-to-back, you see that 3.3 total for Florida. It's the second highest total on the slate, despite the fact that they're playing what is ostensibly a cup contender that is mostly healthy. It's just, AHL goalies. So I think this is a pretty interesting game for that reason, because I think there are very obvious reasons to not play Florida tonight, but I think there's one really obvious reason to also play Florida tonight. So what do you think?
Yeah, and Taylor Radius has hit the COVID list, so I think Ross Colton's moving up to the top line. That line has a small sample together. It's like 30 minutes, but they're surprisingly high event because usually Stamkos at center likes to grind it down to a slow pace, but they're pretty high event. They're going to get the Barkov line. Barkov under 7K. I know he's just back, but like for Hagee, Barkov, Duclair, excellent 5-on-5 line going up against the line that's high event. It's either going to be Maxime Legacy, who just gave up 5 goals to the Canadians, or
and I'm going to tell you, I watched that game. You can tell why he's not in the NHL. I'm going to be serious. He has a hard time tracking the puck and moving laterally at the NHL level. That's, it's one game, but it seemed pretty obvious.
Yeah, and what the other guys, like E-Man, 2-man, or whatever. I don't even know what his name is.
Not even going to try.
If they're going to start Legacy after, giving up those goals to the Habs, who had like 4 NHL players, I couldn't imagine they're going to start that other guy against the Panthers. Now, you look at the ownership, they're back-to-back, but they are home. 7% on Barkov at 6,700, 4%, 5% on Verhaeghe Duclair. Like, I just really like that line. You go down the second line, you see lower ownership, but there are some concerns there. Bennett, 7K. He only played 14 minutes last night.
And I do want to mention Sam Reinhart jumped up to the top line for like the last 3 or 4 shifts, and Duclair moved down to the second line. We don't know if that's going to stick or not. We'll find out in warm-up. Yeah,
I mean, they're similar in price, but man, if warm-ups pop up and Reinhardt's up there at Barkov, you get better power play. Not that you're like super targeting against Tampa Bay penalty kill. You're just targeting against Legacy at any strength, really. So the top line is where I'm going to concentrate on the Panthers tonight. I do really like them. I have some concerns about that second line. They're expensive. Bennett's time on ice wasn't great. Like, why pay 7K for someone who plays 14 minutes, but you can play Barkov for 6,700? Like that's a legitimate question, like and an easy and
I think there's a very easy answer.
Yeah, you just play Barkov here. So yeah, Florida one for me. Like I don't know if you need to dig that deep, but like Lundell Mammon 2-man, I think that's something for like another slate because Lundell, like Maxime Mammon, I kind of like him as a player. He's min-priced. Lundell is gonna, he's projected to be a top 6 center for sure. So like, I don't know if you need it tonight, but maybe on a slate where like Edmonton power plays in a great spot, you can 2-man them. You can in MME tonight. I don't know if you need to get there, but that does have some interest for me. So Florida one, and then on the Tampa side, like I'm gonna avoid the Stamkos line. If you want to, power play stack, I think that's fine. I have a hard time stacking against Barkov. That line is just really, really good 5-on-5. So for me, I think, I'm going to go down to that second line, Point Killorn, Joseph. I'm not super high on Tampa tonight as it is. I mean, the last time we did see Spencer Knight, he did give up 8 goals to the Senators. So like, who knows, but he did play well when he went down to the AHL. Like he accepted the assignment. Like some young guys go down like Vitaly Kravtsov and just throw tantrums and end up back in Russia, but he seems like Knight like embraced it. So, maybe he made it the proper adjustments, but I'm not super high on Tampa and 1-3, but if I did have to go there, it'd be Tampa 2 and maybe some power play stuff.
Yeah, it's Florida one that really draws me here, especially as we mentioned with Sam Reinhart potentially being on the top line, because that's been the one thing. Not that it's really held Barkov back, but it's the one thing that's been hard to use him in DFS this year, right? Is that it's often been Duclair Verhaeghe with neither of them being on the power play. If Reinhardt is there and on the power play, now it becomes a much more stackable line. So for now, I'm going to say I really like that Florida top line. I will mention that Reinhardt and Barkov don't really have good numbers together. Like they're good because almost everybody on Florida has good numbers together this year, but they're not as good as they were like with Barkov's regular line mates. But I think if you add Carter Verhaeghe to that line, like they're going to do tonight, it's going to make a big difference. So I don't have that much because Verhaeghe's just a good player to drive like scoring chances, clean zone entries and things like that. So I'm with you. I really do like that Florida top line. I think the Florida second line is fine to play. I'm not super concerned that Sam Bennett's going to start playing 14 minutes every single night. But I do think it's a concern that he plays 16 minutes and not 18 to 19, which is where he had been a lot, right? So I think it's kind of like that case last night, right? Where Sam Bennett was 7,800 and it's like he's so expensive and so absurdly expensive that he's not going to be owned. So if you want to take that risk, I get it. I think I would just go to the Florida top line, like I said, especially if Reinhardt's going to be there, something to watch for in warmups. On the Tampa side, I do have some interest in that Colton Palat Stamkos line for the reason that I think Colton is kind of an underrated player for them. Like he genuinely was driving an entire third line with Corey Perry and Patrick Maroon on it. Like we should give this guy a little bit of props. Like I think he can do well in the top line with Stamkos and Palat. And yeah, it's a tougher matchup going into Barkov, but they do play at a higher pace. And like I said, they've been worse with Reinhart than Duclair. So I think both top lines are definitely in play for me in this slate. I do like the Florida top line a little bit better. Down on the blue line, I think Radko Goodass got in on the scoring last night, if I'm not mistaken. He got an assist. He's still at 2,500 here tonight. Montour, I think it was Montour and Carlson were on the third pair. They played almost no minutes, and it was just rolling the top 4. So I don't see any reason not to play Goodass at mid price 2,500 again. I also wrote up Ryan McDonough in my power plays article because, no Sergachev, no Chernak. McDonough's probably going to play 24, 25 minutes here. So McDonough and Goodass for me outside of, power play guys.
Yeah, I remember a show, maybe it was a month, 6 weeks ago or whatever, when who is it? Sergachev was out. Like that second pair, McDonough Chernak was playing like 28 minutes a night. Now the third pair is Darren Radish and Sean Day. Like Sean Day played like 6 minutes last game. Like it wouldn't shock me to see McDonough push 30 minutes tonight, like honestly. So he'll probably get like a 25, 26 minutes for 3,800. I'm in on that. Gustav Forsling, 3,200 is fine. Good ass min price. Mackenzie Weegar is back under 6K. He plays a ton of minutes. if you can't get up to Ekblad, I think Uyghur's fine, but I think I'd rather just dump down to Forsling, Goodass, or McDonough from this game.
Yeah, what do you think about the goalies here? I like Legacy at 7,400. It's like Florida's a high volume team, so he's probably going to face a lot of shots. It's whether he lets in 5 of them, right? So
yeah, he was.
I don't think I'm going to play any goalies from this game. I'll say that.
He was 30-something% min priced on a 3-gamer at 7,400. Like, unless you can tell me he's going to face 45 shots, like, I don't think I'm going to consider it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I agree with that. Let's move along to the next game then. This one, Montreal 2.1 implied goal total. They're going into Carolina. The Hurricanes have a 3.8 implied goal total. It seems like this game might have some genuine postponability here. Montreal this morning was missing 11 out of their 20 roster players, 11 out of 20. And then they added 2 more to the COVID list. So they're up to 13 out of 20 on the COVID list. They have legitimately 1 line and then a bunch of AHLers. They have 1 forward line, like 3 NHL defensemen, and everybody else is a minor leaguer, including their goalies. That's why this, I think this is the biggest spread we've seen so far this season. And I even bet Carolina at like minus 385 or something like that. So we're expecting significant Carolina ownership here for very good reason. I guess I'm going to ask you to start with Montreal. Do you see any reason or any way that they can get some goals here? Because, playing against an AHL goalie like they did in Maxime Legacy is one thing. Playing against a Carolina team that is basically completely full strength from top to bottom is something completely different.
Yeah. 2.1 total on the road. That top line currently projected at 10%. Like, if you take away ownership and say, oh, can they score? Yeah, sure. Do I want to play a 10% line and a 2.1 total to find out? Not really.
Fair enough.
But like, Gallagher looked better than I expected against Tampa. So if you want to go there, I think that's fine. Like, he definitely scored. Like, that challenge was one of the most ridiculous non-goal calls I've ever seen. But, that's for another day. But he actually looked pretty decent. If you want to go to that top line, I think it's fine. Not something that I'm going to be doing in 1 to 3 in MME. You want to have a little bit, like I always preach, like stacking road teams with a 2.1 total long term, probably not going to be profitable, but that is their only line. So that 2 out of the 2.1 is probably from that line. So maybe, you can do it. Cole Caulfield, 1-off. He looked okay, but like, again, it was Legacy. So I don't know. Like, it's going to be hard to get away from Carolina tonight. Well, I'll just put it that way. Like, and like, I see their ownership right now. Like, their top 6 isn't much higher owned than Montreal 1. Now they have the Aho issue, and maybe that, both Sebastian Ahos are on this slate. So maybe, once
I that's what I'm kind of thinking here. I don't like, for anybody not familiar, there's 2 Sebastian Ahos in the NHL. One plays for the Islanders, one plays for Carolina. And when they both play on the same slate, it can mess with, the naming in our Excel sheets.
When we scrape data, they get confused. So.
Yeah. So this is a team that's minus 385 or whatever, and has a 3.8 total. And we have neither of their top 2 lines in the top 5 by ownership. I think what you're going to see is maybe the second line, like 10 to 15%, and then the top line probably around 20%, if not higher.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I think Josh stacking's in, to be honest with you. Like, you just load him in, or you could power play stack. Like, either line is fine. Like, I don't know which line I think I would prefer to play. I honestly think it might be Svechnikov, Trocheck, Netchis. But like, it honestly doesn't matter. If you really like Niederreiter, Aho, Teravainen, like, I'm not going to tell you no in this spot. Like, I think just from a personal preference, I like that second line a little bit better. But honestly, you could just power play stack and go Aho, Teravainen, Trocheck, Netchis, and
Tony
D, and just call it a day, or mix and match power play 2. Like, do what you want there. Like, so like, I know, like, I'm not really giving you anything here that's like, oh yeah, I'll play this. But like, honestly, it's like I say with some like punt defensemen, if you have a preference, play them. Like there's not a matchup on Montreal that scares me. They take a lot of penalties. Their penalty kill's bad. So maybe power play stacking is the way to go. Maybe Josh stacking is the way to go. Maybe full stacking is the way to go. Like like I don't have the answers. If I had the answer, I would just tell everyone. But personal preference, I think I'm going to lean towards that Trocheck line or just straight power play stacking.
Yeah, this is one thing we talk about with high totals is dumping down lines, right? Like we said, I think you're going to see the top line coming closer to 20%. The second line maybe around 10 to 15%. I think the third line for Carolina is definitely in play here. And I want to talk about them a little bit. It's Jordan Staal, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Seth Jarvis. Now, we have them coming in over-owned a little bit, 4% ownership at 1.5% top two stack. That doesn't really bother me in a matchup like this, where the team almost has nearly a 4 total. And Jarvis and Jordan Staal have just been great together this year. Like over 70 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Their expected goals is like 2.8 or 2.9 per 60 minutes or something like that. Well over 30 scoring chances per 60 minutes. Like I think they're over 40 scoring chances per 60 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Like they are just absolutely crushing the competition. Now, Jesper Fast, I believe, might be back tonight, so he might take Kotkaniemi's spot. But that's regardless, yeah, Staal and Jarvis are on the second power play unit as well. So like you just mentioned with power play stacking, you can use Staal, Jarvis, and Jacob Slavin. It's a reasonably cheap stack. They're in a great matchup. Like think of Montreal's top line. It's not very good with Suzuki and Gallagher. What's Montreal's third? I'm a Montreal fan, and I don't even know. I couldn't name you off the top of my head who the 3 guys are on that third line, because these are just all AHLers and East Coasters. Like this is the matchup that a line that can generate 40 scoring chances per 60 minutes is going into. I think Carolina 3 is one of my favorite filler lines on the night. So if I had to pick one of the top 6 lines, I wrote up Carolina 2. They're in my power plays article. 66 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 3.4 expected goals per 60 minutes over the last 2 seasons in their sample together. I think Carolina 2 is just fine. But for me, I think I'm going to get to Carolina 3 as a filler stack. On the Montreal side, like I would like to play the top line because I would want to think it's something that's going to come in, that would be under-owned. But like you said, at 10%, I don't want to find out how good they can be in this matchup at 10%. And something to remember is Brendan Gallagher took a month to return from COVID, not 5 days or 10 days, like not almost every, but most players do. He took a month to come back. His last game before the one on the 28th was November 28th. So what kind of shape is that top line in anyway? So I just don't think there's a good reason to play Montreal tonight, other than you have, 150 lineups and you really want to get unique. I just don't see it. So nothing from Montreal for me. On the blue line might change some things, because for the Habs, I think Savard and Romanoff both played over 26 minutes in the last games. And, with Romanoff at 3,200, Carolina should be firing tons of shots. I imagine one, if not both, are going to get to the block bonus here tonight. So I'll just say Romanoff because he's cheaper. He's a defenseman for me out of this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with Savard or Romanoff. On the Carolina side, I think you just correlate here. To just stack onto your Carolina 3, if you want to leave off Kotkaniemi and add in Svechnikov, I think, get a 3-man power play 2 stack. I think that if you're worried about ownership in the top 6 and you want some power play exposure to Staal and Jarvis and Pesci, add in Svechnikov or Niederreiter, you get a 4-man power play 2 stack there.
Yeah, I do like that as well. I guess I have to ask you, is Montembeault in play here tonight? I don't personally think he's a good goalie, but man, 7K, he could see 40 shots plus.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's mantra has come for the expected goal, stay for the shutout. So like at 7K, he's going to see volume, because outside of Cole Caulfield and the top line, I don't know who these players are. So
they're AHLers. They're AHLers.
Yeah, so there's a good chance he sees over 40 shots tonight. Legitimately, it's not hyperbole. He may easily see 45 shots tonight, and if he saves 40 of them at that price, he might be okay.
Yeah, exactly. I ran my crunches before the show, which is something I don't often do. And I actually got to 10% Montembeault, and I'm thinking about playing it just because here's the thing. Montreal is 20% to win this game, I think, in the betting markets. That's 1 out of 5 games. I got to think most of the games that they win are because Montembeault stands on his head and not because Montreal plays great defense or they just flat out outscore Carolina here, right? Like, yeah. I got to think
they're most of the win a shootout.
Right. I got to think most of the instances when they win this game, it's because of Montembeault. So he's not my favorite goalie on the slate. He's not going to be my most highest owned, but I think I am going to have him in maybe 1 or 2 out of my 20 lineups here tonight.
And he's going to be not even close to being owned because Merzlikins in the next game we'll talk about, he's only 7,200.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I honestly think Montembeault might be like, what, 1%, 2%, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Discord, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all capital letters, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. And of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today with the promo code NHL Strategy Show. That's all capital letters, all one word, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, let's get to that game that you were talking about. Nashville, 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Columbus. The Columbus Blue Jackets have a 2.7 implied goal total. I guess the big news is that Patrick Laine is back, baby. He's on the, looks like he's going to be on the top line for Columbus with Jenner and Voracek. He hasn't been playing. He hasn't played 6 weeks, I think, with an oblique injury. He says he's been ready for a while, but like, I mean, let's be honest, with the way the NHL's been over the last 10 days or so, I don't think they were necessarily rushing to get him back in the lineup. So like, I think there's a question of whether he's in game shape, but whether, he's coming back injured or anything like that, I think, nothing like that.
He doesn't play defense anyway. He just kind of stands there and shoots slap shots. So he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be just fine. And then Nashville on the other side, obviously they played last night. UC Saros started, so it's likely David Riddick in net. Riddick Bowe in net for the Nashville Predators. I think there's something to like on both sides here, Josh. Should mention with Roman Josi on the COVID list, it was Alex Carrier playing the top power play unit last night. We thought it would be him or Ekholm. I thought it might be Carrier. It ended up being him. So, but he did play 24 minutes besides that. So it's not like he's just a power play guy. What do you have out of this game, Josh?
Yeah, and he didn't have a shot on goal. I had him in my lineup. Disappointing. Will they go back? Probably. I do like Nashville one tonight. They're going to get that line A Jenner Voracek line. I would assume just the way their lines are set up that they're going to send out Jenner against the top comp. And, line A Jenner Voracek before line A got hurt. They have a 50-minute sample. Not very good. Not very good at all. 43% shot share, giving up 2.7 expected goals against per 60, 12 high danger chances. So I like going back to Nashville one here. They have the higher total. They are back-to-back on the road, but a lot of these teams just had a week off plus. So as long as you're healthy, which is always a question mark in these times, they should be fine. The professional athletes. I like going back to Nashville one here. You want to go to Nashville too? It's fine. Like, I just still have the Ryan Johansson problem. Like, he was scoring out of his mind, like, for the month before, there was a week off. Like, that has to stop. Like, he's just not a legitimate goal scorer anymore. You want to do a two-man at Tolvin and Cunnin? That's fine, I guess. But, like, for me, it's just going to be Nashville one or bust. On the Columbus side, like, if you want to go to that top line, that's fine. Like, the numbers are telling me to fade them, and I hate Columbus as it is. So I think I'm going to go to that second line. I've been on the Domi Rosovic train for a while now. It doesn't matter that Bemstrom's there instead of Nyquist. Emil Bemstrom might actually be an upgrade at this point to Gustav Nyquist. They have a sample together. It's about 60 minutes. 53% shot share, 3.22 expected goals for, which is really good considering how cheap they are. Like they're almost min priced. They are going to get that Ryan Johansson line, which has been pretty decent at limiting high danger chances, but they still give up a lot of shots per 60. So I think, for that price, I think you can go to Domi Rosovic here. Yeah,
Domi Rosovic is one line that I brought up in my Power Plays article, free article up on Awesemo.com right now. And it was the same reason, is that Rosovic and Domi are cheap and they played really, really well together this year. So Domi and Rosovic do make a lot of sense to me as a two-man stack. I am going to be on Nashville 1 here. By our top stacks tool, they have the best leverage on the slate, 18%, top 2 stack against 9% ownership. Their numbers this year are just absolutely absurd together. 62% expected goal share, 58% of the shot attempts, and they're scoring 4.2 goals per 60 minutes. And the thing is like, that's not really out. The 4.2 goals per 60 minutes isn't really out of line considering they're generating 3.5 expected goals per 60 minutes. They are just an absurd offensive line. And like you mentioned with the Columbus, with Line A up there, not nearly as good defensively. And then I get thinking like, okay, maybe they don't use Line A in the shutdown role, but what are you going to use? Domi and Rosovic? I don't think so. Are you going to use Corrali and Nyquist? I hope so, as somebody that's playing Nashville 1. So like you tell me we're going to get an elite line going up against no matchup really. The one thing that concerns me is Merzlikins, but like there are good goalies. You can't just keep fading teams against good goalies like every single slate. It's the leverage that's drawing me big time here. So Nashville is definitely going to be one of my priorities in my stacks here tonight. I think Nashville 2 is even in play. Like you mentioned how they do allow a lot of shots, but with Ryan Johansson there, like I know he's not a shooter and I know he's not a goal scorer. I agree with you on that, but he's still a good playmaker. He can still transition the puck and things like that. So I think they can take advantage of some weaker defensive matchups against the Columbus second and third line. So I think Nashville 2 is in play, but for me, this game is all about Nashville 1, Columbus 2 as some filler. On the blue line, we should mention Adam Bokvist back for Columbus. I think that's a fairly big deal. Like Bokvist is a very good puck mover. Like he's not, I would kind of liken him to like a Sam Girard in Colorado. Like there are bigger names that are going to take more of the shine, but he's a good player playing down the lineup. So I think he helps. I'm not sure if you necessarily have to play him tonight. On the Nashville side, I mean, play Carey or play Ekholm. They're going to get a ton of minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say I like Jake Bean. I'm a Bean stan. So yeah, Jake Bean, Adam Bokvist definitely makes some sense if you need someone under 3K. Like a 3-man of Rosovic, Domi, Bokvist, power play 2 against a team that doesn't have Yossi, that took a decent amount of penalties yesterday, somehow survived them, and isn't starting UC Saros. Like, sure.
Like, talk to me about using Alex Ovechkin as a one-off in a game where his team gets 6 power plays and he does nothing. I think 1 assist and a couple shots or something like that. Like, oh my God. Anyways, we're not here to tilt last night's slate any longer. What we're here to do is tell you about Yahoo Fantasy, because we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just click the link below to redeem it. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you set up right away. You can also receive up to a $100 first match bonus deposit with Yahoo when you use the promo code XMAS100. That's XMAS, capital letters, and the number 100. $100 first match deposit bonus with Yahoo. So if you're a first-time user, either click the link below or go get your deposit bonus with the promo code XMAS100. thank you very much to Yahoo Fantasy. They've been very good to us. Let's continue to be good to them. All right, let's get to this next game. This one is really racking my brain, and it's one of those I wish I didn't have to think about, but it seems pretty important. Buffalo, 2.4 implied goal total. They're going into New York to face the Islanders. The Islanders have a 3.2 implied goal total. Buffalo played last night with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in net, so it looks like it's going to be Malcolm Subban starting for them here tonight. On the Islander side of things, they are missing a pile of players. I think they're missing 6 forwards and a defenseman out of the lineup. We don't know exactly what the lineup's going to look like tonight. For some reason, some people think Brock Nelson is playing tonight, but he was put on the COVID list 2 days ago. And even with the new regulations, he's not going to be back until this weekend at the earliest. So I don't know why people think maybe it was a false negative that I didn't see anything like that. Like he's just on the COVID list. So I don't think Brock Nelson's playing tonight. I imagine Jean-Gabriel Pageau is the second line center. It's just a matter of who's playing with Liam Barzal because there's just so many wingers missing. We don't really know who's going to move up. It could be Josh Bailey, could be Michael Dal-Cole, could be Austin Sarnik. I'm building as if it's Josh Bailey, but just be aware that could change at warmups. Probably going to be a lot of ownership on the Islanders top line here tonight. What do you have, Josh?
The good news for the Islanders here is the most expensive winger is Josh Bailey at 3,200. So like,
I noticed that too because I was scrolling through the wingers at red Bailey. Like, okay.
Like if you build with Bailey and it's someone else, you don't have to worry about forcing them in. They're going to be cheaper. Like, okay, if Austin Cesarnik's up there with Liam Barzal, I can tell you what Cliffy's lineup. It's going to be Nashville 1, Islanders 1, Carrier, Bachquist, goalie. Okay? Like,
that's pretty close. It's pretty close.
No, I mean, he 20 maxes, but like if he was playing one lineup, that would 100% be it. But it could be JG Pageau, it could be Bailey, it could be Cesarnik, it could be Michael Dal-Cole, it could be God knows who. It's not going to be Martin Cizikas, Clutterbuck. They keep that line together.
Yeah.
But like, so the Islanders came back from their COVID break. They looked pretty bad, but Lee and Barzal started playing pretty decent together. So I understand why this is a really good spot. They're coming in around 20% right now, but you know, I think whoever is their third line mate is going to be pretty low owned. So I think the way to go with the Islanders tonight is full stack that top line, whoever it is. Unless it's like JG Pageau, and then like, yeah, that's going to be a chalk city. But I don't think they're going to do that. Like, I think they're going to move him.
I'll say the reason I don't think they do that is because with Brock Nelson out, they just don't have centers. They just don't. Like if they have Barzal and Martin, and that's it. Or Cizikas, sorry.
Yeah. So like, you know, Lee Barzal, I think it's a really good spot. They're not super expensive either. It's just 12. It's $12K for the two of them, and the most expensive winger is Josh Bailey. So it's like the most expensive iteration of Islanders one tonight. It's gonna be 15 and change. So yeah, it's Malcolm Subban. Buffalo's back-to-back on the road. The Islanders have a 3.2 total, which is probably their biggest total since last season. And so like, yeah, I really like Islanders top line. If there's a second line iteration that I like, I think you can go to them too. Like if it's JG Pageau, Bellows, Bailey, like you can go to them as well. But I think my focus is going to be, you know, Lee Barzal and whoever is with them. On the Buffalo side, Alex Tuck almost doubled in price overnight, which is like 4,100 is a decent price for him. I think I'm going to be out on Buffalo tonight. Just like, I know the Islanders are a mess and, you know, haven't been great defensively. 1 to 3, I just can't get to the Sabres. If you're 20 maxing, 150 maxing, you want to have some of that top line that's fully correlated, I think that's fine. But again, like Montreal and Buffalo, 4.5 total combined, Hurricanes 3.8 total. Like, you know where to go tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to play that Buffalo top line again because I'm not concerned about Islanders matchups here. I just don't see the need to go right back to that Buffalo top line on the slate. If you look at the pricing, the Buffalo top line coming in at around 12K, right? Give or take. There are other lines in that range that I like just about as much, like the Philly second line, depending whether we'll talk about Los Angeles in a couple of games, whether Phil Deneau's back, the Los Angeles Kings second line. even the JT Miller line from Vancouver, like there are just other lines that in that price range that I like better. So like, if you guys want to play Buffalo one, I'm not going to say no, because that line looked good together last night. I watched the entire game. I think JJ Peterka's, I don't know if he's going to last the entire season here. I think he'll eventually get sent back down to the HL, but he looked good on that line. Like they seem to be meshing well together. It's just there are other lines in that price range that I like better. So I will probably be off Buffalo tonight. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to be getting to a lot of the Islanders. That top line is very good, but they are going to be very high owned. Like they're going to come in at like 20%. And like, do I want to play Anders Lee, Matt Barzal, Michael Dalcol line at 20% on a 7-gamer or something like that? You know what I mean? Like it just when I say it out loud and I think about it, it just sounds and feels bad. So I don't know. I'm going to play TBD right now. I don't have any. I didn't have Islanders in my first run. I don't know if I'm going to have them again. We'll see. But obviously, if you're playing anything, it's going to be that top line. So really, for me, I don't know if I'm playing any forwards out of this game. On the blue line, I definitely do like Noah Dobson. We mentioned before the holiday break about how his peripherals had started to tick up. He's getting expensive now at 5,500. But I think if you like playing the Islanders in this matchup, you have to like playing Noah Dobson at 5,500 as well. What do you think here?
Absolutely, yeah. Do you want to punt Pellick or Mayfield? There's other guys in that range that I like better. So it's really Dobson for me. Want to go back to Rasmus Dahlin. His price went down from yesterday, so 4,100. I think he's in play as well.
Yeah. Yeah, his price did go down. I don't know why that keeps happening, but man alive. It'd be nice if it would stop. All right, let's get to this next game. Calgary, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Seattle. The Kraken have a 2.6 implied goal total. Just in case people might have forgot, remember that Calgary was the team where everybody got COVID except for 2 players. Blake Coleman didn't get it, and then Dan Vladash, I think, didn't get it. And he's the backup goalie. So literally one player off the roster didn't get COVID. But Milan Lucic did tweet that most of the team had received their boosters before right around the time the outbreak happened. And they're all back within, 10, 12, 15 days. So like, I don't think this was as bad as the outbreak that maybe the Vancouver Canucks had at the end of last season or something like that. So like, I'm not super concerned about the conditioning about Calgary tonight. Let's just say that. Seattle played last night. So I'm pretty sure Grubauer started. So it'd be Dridger here in net for them. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, it's hard to conjecture how people like. It's hard to put that into like your analysis. Like, yeah, they all had COVID. They're all back now, so they should be fine. Like, we just don't know. Like Crosby said, he had issue. Like, you just don't know until you get into a game.
Right. Like the whole team could be, 6% worse overall, let's say. But,
Yeah.
There could be some players that might actually be better than they were 3 weeks ago. And then some players will be way worse. And you just won't know until you see them play.
Yeah. And Brett Ritchie, I think, is out tonight. So we may see some new lines. Like Lucic, for whatever reason, is on the second line with Backlund and Coleman. Sure. Like Mangiapane, Dubé, and someone like maybe like Monahan moves up. Like I just don't know. But
yeah, we should mention Brett Ritchie. Brett Ritchie went to the COVID protocol list.
Yeah.
He was on the third line. Look, I'm assuming Sean Monahan moves up to play with Dubé and Mangiapane.
That's an interesting little line there. Yeah,
I mean, Seattle, I'm not sure Sean Monahan's that much better than Brett Ritchie at this point.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm serious, but anyways.
Yikes. Seattle played last night. They didn't look great. Be interesting to see, like Colin Blackwell was pretty outspoken about how he struggled. It's going to be pretty telling with how these guys handle the back-to-back situation. They are at home, but I do like the Flames top line here tonight. Fully correlated, coming in around 14%. Like when the Flames are low owned, I like them. When they're somewhat chalky, it always feels like a trap. I'm like, I don't know if I want to, play a line at 15% coming off like the whole team getting COVID. Like, yeah, Dridger actually has looked decent recently. He started awful, but like he's come around a little bit. Seattle is on the back-to-back, so I get it. Like 1-3, I don't think I'm going to get to the Flames here. But in MME, Calgary one definitely makes some sense. And then on the Seattle side, like, if you want to go back to that top line, I guess that's fine. But like, I'm just not super excited about anything on Seattle tonight.
The thing with me, it's just the matchup. It's just a brutal matchup. Calgary, like, I genuinely think Calgary's a full-fledged cup contender, top 5 team in hockey. Like, and assuming they came back healthy, I don't see any reason to play them, because even if you say, you know, because Seattle does send out their top line against the third lines of opposing teams. So yeah, go ahead. They're going to go up against the Calgary third line tonight. I showed the Calgary third line stats in our Discord earlier. They're like a 55 or 56% possession line. Like, there is no easy matchup with the Calgary Flames. So I think if you're playing anything from Seattle, it's the McCann line, just because, you know, if they do move Monahan up, then you have Monahan and Dubé on that line. Maybe they can be had a little bit. So it's definitely the McCann line or bust for me from Seattle. I just don't know if I'm going to be getting much on the Kraken. I do love the Calgary side of this. As we often mention, the Kraken don't have a checking line that can match up against anybody. They're all underwater. And Calgary's top line just flat out, you know, one of the best in hockey all season long. I wrote up Matthew Tkachuk in the Power Plays article today. They're controlling 60%, over 60% of the shots and expected goals when they're on the ice, scoring 3.5 goals per 60 minutes. And they played together the entire season. Like, this isn't a small sample. So absolutely love the Calgary top line here tonight. I don't mind the Calgary second line either. The way I'm building my lineups, I just don't see a reason to get to them. I would leave Lucic off probably, but I think Coleman and Backlund would still make a fine 2-man here. It's just the way I'm building. I don't know if I get to them. So Calgary 1 for me, maybe Seattle 1, but I doubt it. On the blue line, yeah, correlating. I guess that's it. Anybody stick out to you?
Fading, better word maybe. Like, I don't think I've won off the Flames defenseman this season. Like, I don't think
I've definitely played like some Tanev Markstrom or something like that, but
yeah,
I don't target them.
Yeah, maybe no one for me. Maybe Alexiak if I had to pick someone. Tanev 2,600. But that's really about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, the Awesemo Hall of Fame is where we like to celebrate all of our winners here at Awesemo.com. And if you'd like to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from Awesemo.com/avatar. If you place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, you tweet those wins to the Awesemo Hall of Fame account. You do that, you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Not a bad little deal. We're going to scroll through some of the winners here. You see Neil Orfield saying showdown to the rescue. Looks like he did well both on DK for DK for 100K top, and then 25K for a chop over on FanDuel. You see Ryan Pack playing NBA. He took down $67,000 in NBA, but you don't have to win that much to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. You see Asker with $150 single entry NBA top prize that will get you into the Awesemo Hall of Fame as well. So make sure if you place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, tweet those wins to Awesemo. We don't care. It doesn't matter if it's $150 or $150,000. Both will get you into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. All right, let's get to this next game. Vancouver, Los Angeles Kings. The Vancouver Canucks, 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into Los Angeles. The Kings have a 2.9 implied goal total. We were surprised with a Brock Besser scratch last night. He's on the COVID list. Alex Chason not only went to the top line in his place, but to the top power play unit as well. Played a season high 1604, I believe it was last night, and he found his way into my power plays article. Tell us why you are or are not playing Alex Chason here tonight.
Darn. Brucey baby, what we doing? Hello, man. Like, Philip Deneau may be back tonight. This is just, if he's back, like, this is going to be a tough matchup for Vancouver. I don't know. Like, these lines are just gross. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I just don't like the Vancouver lines. I guess like whoever goes up against Kopitar or like the third line is like where I would attack. Like the Kopitar line with Iafallo Kempe actually hasn't been bad defensively. So I don't even know if we can exploit that matchup anymore. So like whoever's going up against the, Grundstrom, Kupari, Elias Anderson line, maybe that's Pedersen, Garland. Maybe that's Horvat. Maybe it's JT Miller, Chiasson. I'm not sure how the Kings are going to match that up if Danault's in or out. So like, I'm not super excited about Canucks tonight. I'm probably wouldn't full stack them anyway. If you want to do a 2-man of Pedersen, Garland, I think that's fine. You want to do something with Bo Horvat, I think that's fine. But flat out full stacking with Besser out is probably off the table for me. On the Kings side, I see the Kings top line 15, 16%. I think, they played last night, or the Canucks played last night, so it's probably going to be Halak. But like Halak is probably one of the better backups in the league.
He's
so
a
like,
starter playing backup.
Yeah, he's like Laurent Brossoit. I would like.
Yep.
I'm gonna get some Kings 1 here at that ownership, but if Kings 2 is coming in around 4 or 5%, and it is Danault, like if it's Danault Arvidsson, I think that 2-man has some interest to me.
Just to cut you off, 13 minutes ago, Danault exited COVID protocols. So he's back on the roster as of 13 minutes ago. Whether he officially plays is another step, but I'm assuming he does.
Yeah, so like I don't mind a Danault Arvidsson. Like, we have some trepidation about putting in players right off the COVID list, but at 4,300 in this matchup, I think you can find out. So if they're coming in around 5%, I do like that 2-man. We'll see if Trevor Moore is there or they mix up the lines. They're just shuffling a whole bunch of players. This is one of those games where you kind of have to pay attention to the lines if you're still live. You know what I mean? Like it's a 10:30 Eastern start and you're playing Kings, like you need to pay attention. But yeah, Kings 2 is probably going to be in play for me, but that's probably about it.
For me, out of this game, it's probably going to be Kings 1. One reason for that is the Vancouver penalty kill. It's been improving, but still not great. And they still take a fair share of penalties. Like they're in the top half of the league by time shorthanded this year. And the second reason is that they're just not coming in with a ton of ownership. I was looking at our top stacks coming in at 15% ownership against 17.5% top stack, 17.4%, sorry. And Alex Chiasson, I'm sorry, he just tracks down that entire line. And I'm assuming Kopitar is going to see that Miller line in the matchup. That's how I have it anyway. And if it's Kopitar versus Miller, like with Alex Chiasson there, I don't know how the Kopitar line doesn't run them over. So Kopitar for me, nothing on the Vancouver side, honestly. I just think their ownership it's not high, but they're all over owned. And I don't really like Podkolzin. I don't really like that top line. Like, I'm sorry, I would play Chiasson tonight, but I don't think he's a help to that line. I only play Chiasson because he's 2,500 getting minutes he doesn't deserve. Like, let's be honest about this. And the Horvat, Hoglander, Dickinson line has just been bad. Like 45%, 45 to 48% shot expected goal scoring chance share, just bad. So LAK 1 or bust for me out of this game. Just want to mention we do have shows coming up in a little bit. We have our Jock Market NFL show at 3:30 Eastern with Eitan and Eric, and they're an NBA double dose of the deeper dive and the live before lock starting a little bit earlier today, starting at 4:30 Eastern. So make sure you tune in if you're playing any NFL this week or NBA, and please click that like and subscribe before we get out of here. All right. Real quick, Philly 2.8 implied goal total. They're going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 3.2 implied goal total. I'm going to flat out say I really like the Sharks top line here tonight. The problem for me is I don't know which line they're going to match against, the Hayes line or the Giroux line from Philly. Whichever the line they don't match against, I would like that line from the Flyers. It's just we don't know which one it's going to be. I guess that they match up against the Giroux line. That's my guess. But I don't know. What do you have?
That is my assumption as well. Alex Barabanov, whatever, he had a good game last game, but like, I think I'm going to do like a 3-man Couture Hurdle Meyer. It's a little bit more expensive, but you can make it work. Hurdle on power play 1. A little 3-man power play stack there. You want to go to Sharks 2? I guess that's fine, but like they're going to be just as high owned. I think I'd rather just go to that top line. If Couture sees Giroux, I do like the Hayes Farabee Konechny line going up against that Hurdle Gregor Hagabadawa line. So yeah, I like, Philly too a little bit here. Sharks are just bad defensively. Reimer just gave up 1 million goals to the Coyotes. I think there is some, sense to playing some Flyers tonight.
Yeah, that Hayes Konechny line, I agree. I think they're going to see Sharks too. Sharks too this year, 45% shot share, 43% of the scoring chances. They've just been bad, like just flat out bad. So yeah, I agree with you on the Hayes line. All right, we got to get moving. We got to get out of here. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies. My hat trick pick for tonight is Matty Tkachuk, and my goalies are Jonathan Quick and Elvis Merzlikins. Who you got?
I like Merzlikins. Let's see here. Maybe even Sorokin. Like there is some shot volume concern there. And my hat trick pick is gonna be Philip Forsberg. I know it's Thursday, but Philip Forsberg.
All right, I like it. Philip Forsberg, Matthew Tkachuk are your hat trick picks for tonight. Thank you again to Yahoo Fantasy, our sponsor. For producer Mike, for Josh Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and Happy New Year, because this is our last show of 2021. We will be back New Year's Day with the first ever NHL Live Before Lock. So be sure to come back New Year's Day, celebrate safe and responsibly tomorrow, and we will be back on January 1st.